Choose your future by accessing a fourth-dimensional state. The future can be altered. In this video, you will discover how to transform your future by living in advance, experiencing events in the fourth dimension before they manifest. The most significant aspect of the human future is its malleability, shaped by attitudes rather than actions. By adopting the feeling of fulfilled desires and then living and acting based on this conviction, individuals reshape the future in alignment with their assumptions, or, in other words, in harmony with their consciousness. Before we proceed, kindly appreciate this video to maximize its reach. Subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for updates on new videos. Contribute to the fortification of our channel to continue illuminating the lives of others, as well as your own. Share in the comments your gratitude, your I am, and be aware, as I mentioned earlier, so that when it comes to pass, you believe. John 14 verse 29. Many individuals can anticipate events before they unfold, even before they manifest in this three-dimensional world. As one can observe an event before the three dimensions of space, life on Earth must unfold according to a plan, existing in another dimension and gradually unfolding through our space. If events were not present in this world during observation, logically, they must have existed outside the world, in another dimension. What is seen before its occurrence here must be preordained from the perspective of the awakened individual in a three-dimensional world. So, the question arises, can we reshape our future? The objective of these pages is to reveal inherent possibilities for individuals to demonstrate that they can indeed alter their future. However, once altered, it forms a deterministic sequence from the point of intervention, a future consistent with the modification. The most notable characteristic of the human future is its adaptability, influenced by attitudes rather than actions taken. Everything revolves around the concept of oneself. Actions stem from experiences because one's concept of oneself dictates it, and no other reason. If an individual held a different concept of oneself, actions would differ, leading to different outcomes. A shift in concept automatically transforms the future, and a change in consciousness reciprocally modifies one's concept. Man's assumptions, often considered insignificant, carry substantial weight. Hence, individuals must reassess their self-perception, acknowledge their creative power, and make assumptions consciously. All alterations transpire within consciousness. Although the future is meticulously prepared in advance, it unfolds with diverse outcomes. In every moment of our lives, we confront the opportunity and choice of various futures. Two distinct perspectives on the world are inherent in everyone, a natural focus and a spiritual focus. The ancients referred to them as the carnal mind and the mind of Christ. We can distinguish them as ordinary waking consciousness governed by our senses and controlled imagination governed by desire. These two separate thought centers are acknowledged. The natural person does not comprehend things from the Spirit of God, deeming them foolish, as they are spiritually discerned. 1 Corinthians 2 verse 14. Natural vision relies on the reality of the present. The past and the future are purely imaginative. Conversely, spiritual vision encompasses the entirety of time and is referred to as the moment. If one perceives events as distinct and separate, akin to objects in space, spiritual vision encompasses the past and the future, all existing concurrently. What appears mental and subjective to the natural man becomes concrete and objective to the spiritual man. Our habit of perceiving only what our senses allow renders us entirely blind to what we could otherwise observe. To nurture the ability to see the invisible, we must intentionally detach our minds from sensory evidence and concentrate on an invisible state, mentally experiencing it until it assumes the full distinction of reality. Focused thought in a specific direction suppresses other sensations, causing them to vanish. To perceive a desired state, we must concentrate on it. The practice of redirecting attention from the realm of physical sensation to focus solely on the invisible cultivates our spiritual perspective, enabling us to penetrate beyond the sensory world and observe the invisible, as things invisible are clearly seen since the creation of the world. Romans 1 verse 20. This vision operates independently of physical nature, opening doors beyond its confines. These instructions prove futile without practical application, as the things of the Spirit are spiritually discerned. A bit of practice will convince us that by controlling our imagination, we can reshape our future in alignment with our desires. Desire propels action. Moving a single finger is impossible without a desire to do so. In all our actions, we follow the prevailing desire in our minds at the moment. When breaking a habit, the desire to break it is no greater than the desire to continue the habit. Desires impeding action are those we focus on more. A desire is simply an awareness of something lacking, a need to enhance our lives. Desires always entail personal gain. The greater the anticipated gain, the more intense the desire. There is no truly altruistic desire devoid of gain, and hence, no desire, and consequently, no action. The spiritual man communicates through the language of desire, whereas the natural man does the same. The key to progress in life and the realization of dreams lies in prompt obedience to its voice. Unhesitant obedience to its voice immediately assumes the desire fulfilled. Desiring a state, assuming the feeling of your desire fulfilled, and then living and acting on this conviction, alters the future in harmony with your assumption. As Pascal said, "You would not have sought me if you had not found me." Assumptions awaken what is affirmed, so when a person assumes the feeling of their desire fulfilled, their higher dimensional self discovers ways to achieve that goal, finding methods for its realization. There is no clearer definition of the means by which we fulfill our desires than through the experience in imagination. What we experience in imagination, we manifest in the physical realm. If we were to experience what we desire in the physical, we would achieve our goal. This imagined experience of the desired end transcends into the higher dimension, subsequently constructing the necessary means to achieve the accepted end. The undisciplined mind struggles to assume a state denied by the senses. Here is a technique facilitating the anticipation of events before they occur: call things that are not as though they were. People often underestimate the significance of simple things, yet this straightforward formula for the future was discovered after years of research and experimentation. The initial step in changing the future is desire, precisely defining your goal. Second, construct an event you believe you will encounter upon the fulfillment of your desire, an event implying the realization of your desire, something with the predominant action of self. Third, immobilize the physical body. If one perceives events as distinct and separate, much like objects in space, spiritual vision encompasses both the past and the future, existing simultaneously. What appears mental and subjective to the natural man becomes tangible and objective to the spiritual man. The habitual focus on what our senses allow renders us entirely blind to what we could otherwise perceive. To nurture the ability to see the invisible, we must intentionally detach our minds from sensory evidence and concentrate on an invisible state, mentally experiencing it until it assumes the full distinction of reality. Focused thought in a specific direction suppresses other sensations, causing them to disappear. We must concentrate on the desired state to perceive it. The habit of diverting attention from the realm of physical sensation and concentrating solely on the invisible cultivates our spiritual perspective, enabling us to penetrate beyond the world of the senses and see what is invisible, as things invisible are clearly seen since the creation of the world. Romans 1 verse 20. This vision is entirely independent of physical nature, opening doors without it. These instructions prove futile without practical application, as the things of the Spirit are discerned spiritually. A bit of practice will convince us that by controlling our imagination, we can reshape our future in harmony with our desires. Desire propels action. Moving a single finger is impossible without a desire to do so. In all our actions, we follow the prevailing desire in our minds at the moment. When breaking a habit, the desire to break it is no greater than the desire to continue the habit. Desires hindering action are those to which we pay more attention. A desire is simply an awareness of something lacking, a need to make our lives more enjoyable. Desires always have personal gain in view. The greater the anticipated gain, the more intense the desire. There is no truly altruistic desire devoid of gain, and hence, no desire, and consequently, no action. The spiritual man communicates through the language of desire, while the natural man does the same. The key to progress in life and the realization of dreams lies in prompt obedience to its voice. Unhesitant obedience to its voice immediately assumes the desire fulfilled. Desiring a state and, as Pascal said, "You would not have sought me if you had not found me." Assuming the feeling of your desire fulfilled, and then living and acting on this conviction, alters the future in harmony with your assumption. Assumptions awaken what is affirmed, so when a person assumes the feeling of their desire fulfilled, their higher dimensional self finds ways to achieve that goal, discovering methods for its realization. I know of no clearer definition of the means by which we realize our desires than the experience in imagination. What we experience in imagination, we manifest in the physical realm. If we were to experience what we desire in the physical, we would achieve our goal. This imagined experience of the desired end reaches the higher dimension, subsequently constructing the necessary means to achieve the accepted end. The undisciplined mind struggles to assume a state denied by the senses. Here is a technique facilitating the anticipation of events before they occur: call things that are not as though they were. People often underestimate the significance of simple things, yet this straightforward formula for the future was discovered after years of research and experimentation. The first step in changing the future is desire, precisely defining your goal. Second, construct an event that you believe you will encounter upon the fulfillment of your desire, an event implying the realization of your desire, something with the predominant action of self. Third, immobilize the physical body. Induce a state resembling sleep by lying in bed or relaxing in a chair, imagining that you are sleepy. Then, with closed eyelids and your focus on the intended action in your imagination, mentally immerse yourself in the sensation of being ready for the proposed action. Throughout this process, envision yourself performing the action as if it were happening here and now. Actively engage in the imaginary action, feeling yourself carrying it out genuinely, so that the imagined sensation becomes tangible to you. It's crucial to always remember that the chosen action should be one that follows the fulfillment of your desire. Furthermore, you must feel it with the vividness of reality. For instance, suppose you desire a long-awaited promotion at work. The congratulation you would receive becomes an event encountered upon the fulfillment of your desire. Once you've selected the scene for your imagination, immobilize your physical body and induce a state similar to sleep, a drowsy state that you can still control, where you remain attentively alert without exerting effort. Now, picture a friend before you, extend your imaginary hand to shake hands with them. Initially, feel the unreality of the imaginary conversation, in harmony with the action. Rather than visualizing it as distant in space, place it in the distant point of time where the congratulation is occurring. Create another place here and now. The future is a reality now in a dimensionally larger world. Remarkably, now in a dimensionally larger world is equivalent to here in ordinary three-dimensional space. The distinction between feeling the action here and now and visualizing it as if on a movie screen is the key to success versus failure. This difference becomes apparent when visualizing yourself climbing a staircase. With closed eyelids, imagine a staircase right in front of you, and feel as if you are truly climbing it. The key is to maintain physical immobility alongside the imagined action, where the self predominates, consenting here and now. These factors are not only critical for altering the future but also essential for consciously projecting the spiritual. If, when the physical body is immobilized, we become engrossed in the idea of doing something, imagining ourselves doing it here and now, and persisting in the imaginary action until sleep ensues, it's likely that we will awaken in a dimensionally larger world. We will find ourselves actually carrying out what we imagined in the spiritual dimension and representing it in the future here in the three-dimensional world. My experience has taught me to condense the imaginary action, focusing on a single act, and repeating it until it acquires the feeling of reality. The idea should be held effortlessly on the mental campus. Initially, with the feeling of the desire fulfilled, a degree of drowsiness aids the transition as it promotes effortless attention. However, it should not progress to the stage of sleep where movements are beyond control, but rather a moderate drowsy state where thoughts can still be directed. A more effective way to embody a desire is to assume the feeling of the desire fulfilled. In a relaxed and drowsy state, repeatedly utter a short phrase, akin to a lullaby, implying the satisfaction of your desire, such as "thank you." It's as if we owe a debt of gratitude to a higher power for orchestrating this for us. Nevertheless, the conscious projection into a dimensionally larger world must persist until subsequent sleep, and the imaginative experience, vividly real, is what will be lived in the physical realm. You will attain your goal, and in due time, you will encounter it in reality, just as you envision in your imagination. Nourish the mind with assumptions, presumed functions considered true because assumptions ideal to the senses, if sustained until a sense of reality is achieved, will metamorphose into facts. All means that foster the fulfillment of an assumption are positive influences on behavior. Anticipate that every movement, action, and word tends toward its realization. To comprehend how a person shapes their future in harmony with their assumption, we must understand the concept of the greater world. Altering our future is possible in a dimensionally larger world. Observing an event before it transpires suggests that the event is predetermined from the perspective of a person in the three-dimensional world. Therefore, to influence things in the three dimensions of space, we must initially access the fourth dimension of space. Man may not precisely understand what a dimensionally larger world entails and would likely deny its existence. While familiar with the three dimensions of length, width, and height, he assumes that if there were a fourth dimension, it should be as apparent as the known dimensions. A dimension is not a line, it is any way in which a thing can be measured, entirely different from all other ways. To measure a solid, dimensionally simple, we measure in any direction except its length, width, and height. No other way exists to measure an object except through its length, width, and height dimensions. Time measures life without employing these dimensions. There is no such thing as an instantaneous object, its appearance and disappearance are measurable. Time is unquestionably a fourth way to measure an object. The more dimensions an object has, the more substantial and real it becomes. Adding dimensions transforms a non-dimensional straight line into a form with substance. What distinctive quality does time, the fourth dimension, confer? What makes it vastly superior, akin to solids being to surfaces and surfaces to lines? Time serves as a means for changes in experience because all changes unfold in time. The novel quality is change. Consider that when encountering a solid, its cross-section forms a surface, seeking a surface yields a line, and seeking a line results in a point. A point is a cross-section of a line, which is another section of a surface, and ultimately another cross-section of a solid, logically extending to another section of a four-dimensional object. It is inescapable to infer that all three-dimensional objects are merely cross-sections of four-dimensional bodies. Encountering someone means interacting with a cross-section of their four-dimensional self, the four-dimensional you that remains unseen. To perceive the four-dimensional me, each cross-section, the moments of your life from birth to death, must be seen as coexisting. The focus must encompass the entire range of sensory impressions experienced on Earth, plus those yet to come. They should not be seen in your experienced order but as a whole, the present. Because change is the characteristic of the fourth dimension, I should flow in a state of flux, vibrant and lively as a whole. If we firmly fix all of this in our minds, what does it signify for us in this three-dimensional world? It means that if we can move along time, we can envision the future and shape it as we desire. This world, which we perceive as solidly real, is a shadow from which and beyond which we can transcend at any moment. It is an abstraction of a more fundamental and globally extensive vision, a world of an even more fundamental and dimensionally larger nature, and so on, infinitely and beyond reach through any means or analysis. Regardless of how many dimensions of the world humanity can prove the existence of, a dimensionally larger world can be brought into focus simply by directing attention to an invisible state, imagining that one sees and feels it. By staying focused on this state, the current environment will fade away, and one will awaken in the dimensionally larger world where the object of contemplation becomes an objective concrete reality. Intuitively, I sense that if one were to abstract thoughts from a dimensionally larger world, move further away in the mind, he would once again internalize time. The discovery would reveal that every time he recognizes the inner mind and induces an internalization of time, space becomes dimensionally larger. Consequently, he would conclude that time and space are inserts, and the drama of life involves scaling a block of time into the multiple. While scientists may one day explain the existence of the universe, in practical terms, how we use this universe to change the future is more crucial. To alter the future, we only need two worlds in the infinite series: the world we know due to our bodily organs and the world we perceive independently of our bodily organs. I hope this content has been valuable to you, and you have derived benefit from it. My goal with this channel is to assist you in thriving financially, and it all begins in the mind. Of course, I always emphasize that action is also necessary. If you found it enjoyable, please leave a like and subscribe to help strengthen our channel, continuing to bring light to the lives of many people, just like yours. A big hug, and until the next video.